So far, Canon has mostly built high-end cameras for its EOS R system, but it's now attacking the budget end of the market. Its latest models are also the least expensive, including the EOS R100 and the model I'm looking at today, the 24-megapixel APS-C R50. You can think of the R50 as an RF mount version of the M50 Mark II mirrorless camera, but with updates like uncropped 4K that make it better for creators. At the same time, it's even lighter and smaller, so it's ideal for travel, street photography, and more. Where the $480 R100 is aimed at the bottom end of the mirrorless market, the $680 R50 is more upmarket. Does it have enough going for it for more serious photographers and videographers? Let's take a look. The EOS R50 is tiny, weighing in at just 375 grams with a battery and memory card. With an equally light and small lens, like the 18 to 45mm kit model, it can easily slip into a small bag and not be a burden. There's a price to be paid in terms of usability, however. It has a relatively small grip that's effectively unusable with large lenses, though it does have a nice grippy rubber material. It has just a single dial to change settings, meaning you have to hit buttons to change aperture or ISO settings in manual mode. The camera is essentially designed to be controlled by the touchscreen for beginners used to smartphones. That works well enough, but menu items are a little small and fiddly. The 2.95-inch touchscreen is nice though, with a relatively high 1.6 million dot resolution. As with other Canon EOS R cameras, it fully articulates, making it useful for selfies and vlogging. The electronic viewfinder is on the low end though, being relatively small and with a low 2.36 million dot resolution. With the same small battery as the EOS R10, it gets just 370 shots on a charge, perhaps the camera's biggest weakness. It is, however, a significant improvement over the original M52's 305 shots. Other features include a mic but no headphone port, a single slow UHS 1 card slot, USB-C and micro HDMI ports, and yes, a built-in flash that's perfect for its target market. Since it's aimed at mainstream users, the R50 needs to have a good autofocus system, and luckily it does. A simplified version of the AF from high-end cameras like the R3, it tenaciously follows subjects and captures sharp photos, particularly with people. It can track eyes, faces, and heads, along with animals including dogs, cats, birds, and horses. It also tracks vehicles like race cars, bicycles, trains, and airplanes. You can either let the system choose a subject, or tap the touchscreen to select it yourself. That serves it well for burst shooting, which is shockingly fast for such a small camera. It can grab frames at up to 12 frames per second in mechanical shutter mode, or 15 frames per second in silent electronic mode. However, you're limited to 42 JPEG images in a burst and just 7 uncompressed RAWs due to the small buffer and slow memory cards. On top of the usual manual and auto shooting modes, the R50 has something called A+ Advanced Auto. If it detects a scene that's tricky to shoot due to high contrast or darkness, it takes 4 shots and combines them into a single JPEG image, much like smartphones have done for years. The results can be pleasing, but may also look overprocessed. As you'd expect, there's no in-body stabilization, so you'll need to rely on optically stabilized lenses, and there are only 2 of those in the APS-C lineup. Those lenses only deliver 4 stops of shake reduction, but it's enough to allow for sharp shots at 1/10 of a second or so. The R50 shares the R10's 24-megapixel sensor, so photo quality is nearly the same. For normal shooting, I saw color-accurate photos with skin tones leaning on the warm side. JPEGs strike a good balance between sharpening and noise reduction, while RAW files allow for a decent amount of room to tweak images. Low light performance isn't amazing though. ISO 6400 is pretty much a hard limit, and even then you won't have a lot of room to boost blacks without getting tons of noise. Luckily, the R50 does have a built-in flash that can fill in if you're lacking light. Just make sure to dial the illumination levels down in the settings to avoid blowing out your subjects. Where the EOS R10 offers cropped 4K 60p video, the R50 is limited to 4K 30p. Luckily, that is uncropped, however, and supersampled from 6K. You're limited to 1080p for slow-mo, but luckily it can shoot at up to 120 frames per second, though 60 frames per second is considerably sharper. It's one of the cheapest cameras on the market with 10-bit video via the HDR PQ mode, though the footage requires some tweaking for normal usage. A C-Log mode that might boost dynamic range isn't available, but it's not really necessary for its intended market segment. For a relatively small and cheap camera, the R50 offers excellent video quality. The oversampled video is very sharp and colors are accurate and human-friendly. The fact that 4K video isn't cropped is a huge plus for vloggers. The autofocus is also outstanding for a camera in this price bracket, with tenacious tracking that keeps focus sharp in most circumstances. It also has a close-up demo mode that works much like Sony's product showcase mode, quickly switching focus from your face to any object you bring up to the camera. The digital stabilization is okay for walking and talking as long as you try to move smoothly. All of these things make the R50 an excellent camera for vloggers and content creators ready to step up from a smartphone. With the R50, Canon has found a good balance between power and affordability. Where the R10 has a lot of competition at its higher $980 price point, the $680 R50 only has a few rivals. Its main competition is Sony's $700 ZV-E10, which is slightly better for vlogging but not as good for photography. Another option is the $700 Nikon Z30, which offers a similar feature set but lacks an EVF and has less reliable autofocus. If those models are too much, Canon just released the $480 R100, the least expensive new mirrorless camera on the market. In any case, content creators may lean toward the Sony ZV-E10, but if you're looking for a solid hybrid camera that can do everything, Canon's R50 is a great choice. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And for more on technology, check out Engadget.com.